I thought my life was perfect. I had a thriving career, a fiancé I adored, and a best friend I trusted with my life. "You're working too hard," Alina said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear at the company gala. "Come sit with me for a while." "I can't." "This deal is huge," I replied, scanning the room. She pouted playfully. "You always say that. One day, your work will swallow you whole, you know. Then I'll survive," I joked, smiling. But something in her eyes made me pause. Rayan approached, drink in hand. "Hey, man. You look tense. Everything okay?" "Yeah, just the usual gala stress," I said, forcing a grin. Alina's smile stiffened. I noticed a flicker between them, something subtle, almost conspiratorial. My gut twisted. "Is something going on?" I asked aloud, though I barely wanted an answer. "Nothing at all," Rayan said quickly, eyes darting away. I shook it off. Maybe I was imagining it. I've always overthought things. "You two know each other too well," I muttered to myself. Later that evening, Alina's tone changed completely. She avoided my gaze as we sat on the couch. "I need to tell you something," she said softly. My heart skipped. "What is it?" She swallowed. "I can't do this anymore. Us. I'm leaving." "What? Leaving? For?" My voice cracked. Her lips trembled, and she finally looked at me. "For Rayan. I can't help how I feel." I froze, trying to process it. "You, what? How, why?" "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I never meant to hurt you. I can't stop feeling this way." I laughed, though it felt bitter. "Stop feeling this way? After everything? After me? You just throw it all away." "I know it's wrong," she said, tears rolling down her cheeks. "I wish things were different, but they're not." I could barely breathe. Rayan. My best friend. My fiancé. Together. Everything I trusted, shattered. "I don't understand. You both, how could you betray me?" "I didn't plan it," she said, voice breaking. "It just happened." I paced the apartment, running my hands through my hair. Happened? Life isn't supposed to just happen like this. This is a choice you made. She stood, reaching for my hand. "Please, try to understand." "Understand? How could I understand betrayal? How could I even look at you the same way again?" I snapped, stepping back. My apartment felt smaller, the air heavier. I never wanted to hurt you," she said quietly, almost pleading. "You already did." My voice was hoarse. "I trusted you. I trusted him." And now, I stopped, choking on the words. There were no more words. Nothing could fix this. She left, and I sank onto the couch, staring at the empty space where she had stood. My mind replayed every memory, every laugh, every promise, turning them over and over, questioning what had been real. I called Rayan once, just to hear his voice, to demand an explanation. He picked up casually. "Hey, man. Heard you're upset. Everything okay? Don't play innocent with me." I shouted. "You took her from me. How could you?" I didn't mean to hurt you," he said, his tone too smooth, too calm. "It just happened." "Stop saying that. Stop saying it happened. You made a choice, Rayan. You chose her over me. Over our friendship." He was silent for a moment. Then, almost casually, "I guess some things just can't be helped." I hung up, heart racing, hands trembling. My world, my life, had collapsed in a single night. I sat alone in my apartment for hours, the walls echoing with their betrayal. I stared at the ceiling, asking myself how I could have been so blind. How could the two people I loved most conspire against me? I felt humiliated, heartbroken, and utterly alone. And yet, beneath the anger and pain, a small ember of determination sparked. I didn't know how or when, but I swore, I would rebuild. I would rise again. And one day, they would see the consequences of what they had done. But for now, I just sat there, lost in disbelief, questioning everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and friendship. I stormed into Rayan's apartment before he could even answer his phone. "Open the door," I yelled. The door swung open, and he leaned casually against the frame, drink in hand. "Hey, didn't expect to see you here," he said, smirking like nothing had happened. Smirking? You think this is funny? I spat, stepping inside. Alina. Me. You. Do you even realize what you've done? Rayan raised an eyebrow, unaffected. I didn't force anyone to do anything. You really can't take responsibility for life, can you? Don't twist this. I shouted. You betrayed me, Rayan. My trust, everything. I thought we were brothers. We are, he said smoothly. But feelings happen. You knew Alina felt something for me. You always did. I didn't seduce anyone. She made her choice. I laughed bitterly. Choice. That's how you justify it. Feelings happen. She promised me forever. You promised me friendship. Do you have any idea how that feels? His smirk didn't waver. Yeah, I do. Feels like losing someone. But maybe you need to understand, people change. You can't cling to what's gone. Change. Is that what you call sneaking around behind my back? Lying to me for months while pretending to be my best friend? I paced the room, fists clenched. You're a coward, Rayan. You always were. Hiding behind charm while taking what isn't yours. I didn't hide, he said, shrugging. I didn't think it mattered until it did. It mattered to me. I shouted, voice cracking. Every single day. Every memory, every plan, every stupid promise you made. Do you know how that feels? To wake up and realize the two people you trusted most conspired to break you. I never conspired, he said, tone deceptively calm. You're making it worse than it is. It's life. Life? This isn't life, Rayan. This is betrayal. Cold, calculated, and humiliating. And you just stand there like you're innocent. He laughed softly. Innocent? I'm not innocent, but I didn't hurt anyone. You're the one who's hurt. Maybe it's time to stop blaming and start living. Stop living? I repeated, incredulous. Stop living? You don't get it. You can't just walk away from this. I can't just walk away. Not after you stole everything from me. Rayan's eyes softened slightly, but his tone remained steady. You're stronger than you think. You'll get through this, even if you hate me for it. Maybe it's better that way. Maybe you need this, to wake up. I slammed my hand on the counter. Wake up. Wake up to what? That I'm alone. That I can't trust anyone. That my life is a joke. You've destroyed that for me. I didn't destroy it, he said quietly. You're the one who decides what's destroyed. You can either stay broken, or, you can rebuild. But hating me won't fix anything. I stared at him, anger and disbelief twisting inside me. Rebuild? You think it's that easy? You and Alina, you shattered me. I can't even look at her without feeling sick. And you were my brother. He stepped closer, almost gently. Sometimes, brothers make mistakes. Sometimes people follow their hearts. You're hurt because you care. That's not weakness. That's humanity. I backed away, shaking my head. Humanity? Don't give me that. You're a liar, a cheat, a coward who took what he wanted without thinking about the fallout. I can't forgive you. Not ever. Maybe you shouldn't, he said, voice calm, almost proud. Maybe forgiving me isn't the point. Maybe this is about you, about finding out how strong you are when everything falls apart. I left his apartment without another word, the air thick with rage and disbelief. Every step home felt heavier than the last. My mind replayed memories, birthdays, late-night talks, business wins we celebrated together. All of it felt tainted now, every laugh a lie. At the office the next day, I barely spoke. Colleagues whispered behind my back. I could hear the questions, didn't he just break up? With Alina? And Rayan? I ignored them, keeping my head down, forcing myself to focus on work. But every email, every project, every client meeting reminded me of their betrayal. I questioned myself, my judgment, my worth. That night, sleep eluded me. I stared at the ceiling, heart racing, stomach tight. Rage, heartbreak, and disbelief tangled into one knot I couldn't untangle. And then it hit me, I couldn't let this define me. I couldn't let them, Alina or Rayan, dictate the rest of my life. I made a decision, quiet but firm, I would rebuild. I would rise. And one day, I would reclaim everything they thought they stole from me. I didn't know how yet, but the spark was there, burning under the ashes of betrayal. And for the first time in hours, I felt a small, cold clarity, I was not finished. Not by a long shot. I stayed late at the office, trying to bury myself in spreadsheets and emails, anything to drown out the memory of Alina's face. My phone buzzed once, twice, Ryan's name flashing, but I didn't answer. Not today. Hey, you're still here. Leah's voice startled me. She leaned against my cubicle, coffee in hand, eyes scanning the stacks of papers I'd piled up. Yeah, I muttered, not looking up. Can't sleep. Might as well work. You always say that, she said, smiling softly. But maybe it's more than that tonight. Something on your mind? I sighed, finally meeting her gaze. It's complicated. Personal stuff. Do you want to talk about it? Her tone was gentle but firm. I don't know if I can. It's Alina. And Rayan. My voice cracked slightly. They betrayed me. Leah's eyes widened slightly, but she didn't flinch. I'm sorry. That's rough. I can't imagine how that feels. You can't, I said bitterly. They were everything to me. My fiancée, my best friend, my life. And now, nothing makes sense. Then maybe focus on what you can control, she suggested. Work. Projects. People who actually have your back. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. Easy for you to say. You didn't see them together, smiling while pretending everything was normal. I didn't, but I see you, she said simply. And you're still here, still moving forward. That counts for something. I scoffed. It feels like I'm just pretending. Like everyone can see right through me. You're human, she said, tilting her head. Being hurt doesn't make you weak. It means you care. And caring isn't a crime. I swallowed, the tightness in my chest easing slightly. I don't know how to stop thinking about them. How to stop hating them. Maybe don't try to stop, she said. Use it. Channel it into something that's yours. Something they can't touch. Her words hit me harder than I expected. Like work? Exactly, she said. You're brilliant at what you do. Let that brilliance shine. Let them see it. Let yourself see it. I nodded slowly, feeling a spark I hadn't felt in days. I think I can do that. And I'll help, she added. Need someone to bounce ideas off? Or just talk? I'm here. Thanks, Leah, I said quietly. I appreciate that. More than you know. Over the next few days, I buried myself in the company's projects. I drafted proposals, analyzed budgets, and led meetings with a focus I hadn't felt in months. Each success, each small win, reminded me I was still capable. I felt the ember of determination grow into something hotter, fiercer. Rayan started showing off with Alina at office events, laughing too loud, holding her hand for everyone to see. My first instinct was anger, but I stayed calm, refusing to give them the satisfaction. Leah noticed my restraint. You're holding it together, she said one afternoon, leaning on my desk. That's progress. I'm trying, I admitted. It's not easy. Nothing worth doing ever is, she said, smiling. And look at you, you're making it work. I realized then that this wasn't just about getting over Alina or Rayan. It was about reclaiming myself. Every project completed, every email sent, every strategic decision made reminded me that my life didn't end with their betrayal. Leah's presence was a constant reminder that I wasn't alone. I didn't have to face everything by myself, even if I had to face the memories and the pain. Her guidance, her calm confidence, gave me a perspective I'd been missing. By the end of the week, I looked at my reflection in the office window, tired but sharper, stronger. I didn't smile. Not yet. But I felt a sense of direction I hadn't felt in months. Rayan could flaunt his victory. Alina could cling to whatever she thought she won. I didn't care. I had my own life to rebuild, my own future to reclaim. And this time, I would make sure it was mine, fully, without anyone else's shadow over it. I watched them from across the office cafe, pretending to scroll through my phone. Alina was speaking in that sharp, commanding tone, while Rayan nodded nervously, fumbling with his coffee cup. My gut twisted. Rayan, if you don't finish the report by tonight, we're in trouble, Alina said, eyes narrowing. I know, Alina. I'll have it done, he stammered. I chuckled quietly under my breath. That used to be me, so eager to please, so blind to manipulation. Now, I could see the cracks forming, tiny but undeniable. Leah slid into the seat across from me. Watching them, she asked, smirking. You can tell. I whispered. I can, she said. They're fragile. All the charm in the world won't cover that tension. You just have to wait. Wait? I repeated. I want to confront them, tear it all down. I want them to feel what I felt. Leah's eyes were calm. Patience. Calculated patience. If you strike too soon, you lose control. Watch, observe, then act. Let them crumble under their own mistakes. I nodded slowly, biting back a reply. She was right. I had to be smart. I had to rebuild quietly, let them expose themselves while I stayed composed. Later, I approached Rayan at his desk. You look stressed, I said casually. I'm fine, he muttered, barely meeting my eyes. Really? You seem off, I pressed. Alina being difficult? He shrugged. You could say that. She has high expectations. And you? I asked softly. Do you meet them? He swallowed hard. I try. I let the silence stretch, letting him squirm. Try harder, I murmured, turning away. Inside, satisfaction burned. The roles were slowly shifting. Back at my desk, Leah leaned over. See? You didn't touch a thing, yet it's working. Keep observing. Take notes. Their weaknesses are gifts, if you're smart. I know, I said quietly. It's just, tempting to push, to strike. Don't, she warned. Not yet. This is about control, not emotion. Patience is power. I nodded, letting her words sink in. I reminded myself of every insult, every betrayal, every sleepless night. That fire fueled me, but I couldn't let it burn me out. Not now. Not until I had a plan. By midweek, I volunteered for the new international client pitch, something high stakes, something that would put me front and center. Alina and Rayan were both in the meeting, of course, but I stayed calm, professional, and focused. Your presentation is impressive, the client said. I didn't expect such thorough analysis. I smiled, keeping it modest. Thank you. I've been closely reviewing all the data to ensure accuracy. Afterward, Rayan muttered, barely above a whisper, how did you? Focus, I replied simply, turning back to my notes. I let him stew in his frustration. Alina was harder to read. She approached me later, attempting a smile that didn't reach her eyes. You're really stepping up, she said. Impressive work. Thank you, I said calmly. I'm committed to the company's success. Her eyes narrowed slightly, a subtle challenge. I met it without flinching. Inside, my mind raced with possibilities, projects she underestimated, deals she thought she controlled, weaknesses I could exploit. Leah caught my expression. You're thinking, she whispered, smiling. Good. Keep that edge. Let your ambition do the talking. I will, I promised silently. I won't be reckless. I won't let anger ruin my strategy. This is bigger than revenge. It's about reclaiming everything they think they stole from me. That night, I stayed late, reviewing client files, revisiting every misstep Rayan had made in past projects. Each error, each lapse in judgment, I catalogued mentally. I wasn't attacking yet, I was preparing. Every piece of information was a weapon I would use when the time was right. The temptation to confront them, to humiliate them, was always there, whispering in my ear. But I resisted. I had learned the hard way that emotion was a trap. I needed control. I needed leverage. As I left the office, I glanced back at their building, lights glowing in the dark. They had no idea what was coming. Every insecure glance, every tension-filled argument I'd witnessed today was a seed, and soon, those seeds would grow into their downfall. And I would be there, calm, prepared, unshaken, watching it all unfold. I sat across from the investors, my hands folded neatly on the conference table. Our projections show a 30% growth in the next quarter, I said, keeping my tone calm, confident. This plan is solid. The team is ready to execute. One of the investors leaned back. I wasn't expecting such thorough preparation. Impressive. Thank you, I replied, letting a small smile slip through. We've been analyzing every angle to ensure results. After the meeting, my colleagues crowded around. That was incredible, someone said. You've really turned things around. I nodded, brushing off the praise. It's just the start. There's more work ahead. Leah appeared beside me, whispering, You're on fire. Keep it up, but don't let arrogance creep in. I won't, I said quietly, though inside, satisfaction burned. Every achievement was a reminder that I was still capable. That I wasn't broken. Meanwhile, I noticed Rayan struggling with his own projects. His team made mistakes he couldn't fix, deadlines slipped, and Alina hovered like a hawk, criticizing every decision. I could see the tension in their interactions, subtle but growing. Rayan, the client's email, Alina snapped, pointing at the screen. How could you let this happen? I didn't realize, he began, flustered. You didn't realize, she interrupted sharply. Do you ever take responsibility? I smirked quietly from my office window. Karma, it seemed, had a way of working slowly but surely. Leah joined me for lunch later. You've noticed, right? They're little cracks. I have, I admitted. It's satisfying to see them falter, but part of me wonders, should I push it, or let it unfold naturally? Let it unfold, she said firmly. The satisfaction will be sweeter. Don't stoop to their level. Be strategic, not emotional. I nodded, but the temptation lingered. Every misstep they made, every argument, called to me. Still, I restrained myself. I had learned the hard way that patience was more powerful than impulsive revenge. Rayan approached me later in the break room, trying to look casual. Hey, can I ask you something? Sure, I said, not hiding the calm in my voice. I'm struggling with a client pitch. I remember you handled a similar situation. Any advice? I raised an eyebrow, pretending to consider it. Really? Yes, he said, avoiding eye contact. I thought, maybe you could guide me. I need a fresh perspective. I leaned back, folding my arms. I see. And you're asking me, out of the goodness of your heart. He swallowed, nervous. I don't know. I just respect your work. Thought you could help. Interesting, I murmured, letting him squirm slightly. Here's my advice, focus on preparation. Double-check every number. Anticipate questions. Be concise, confident. That's the difference between success and failure. Right, concise, confident, he repeated, nodding quickly. And remember, I added, softer this time, no shortcuts. Cut corners, and you'll regret it. Trust me. He nodded again, muttering, thanks, really. He left without another word, unaware that I'd noticed the anxiety clinging to his shoulders. Later, Alina stopped by my desk, attempting a polite smile. Your growth is remarkable, she said. You've really taken control of the company. Thank you, I said calmly, eyes meeting hers. It's all about focus and persistence. And learning from mistakes. Her smile faltered slightly. Yes, mistakes. We all make them. I nodded slowly, letting the words hang in the air. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. The cracks were visible to everyone, and she could see them too. Leah leaned over my shoulder. You're handling this perfectly, she whispered. No overreaction, no vengeance. Just focus on yourself. I know, I replied. It's hard, though. Every day, I feel that pull, wanting to interfere, to tip the scales faster. But I have to be patient. I have to be smarter. She smiled. And you are. Your growth isn't just professional. It's personal, too. I let out a quiet breath, realizing she was right. Every contract I won, every successful pitch, every compliment from investors or colleagues reminded me that I was reclaiming control. I wasn't just surviving. I was thriving. The next week, a client specifically requested me, saying, we want someone who knows the company inside out. Someone reliable. Someone focused. I felt a thrill run through me. Reliability. Focus. Respect. All things I had earned, all things Rayan and Alina couldn't take from me. That night, I reviewed my achievements, reflecting on the week. Rayan and Alina were unraveling subtly, unaware that I was watching. I didn't need to intervene, karma, carefully observed, was already at work. And yet, the thought of how satisfying it would be to fully outshine them, to claim every victory they assumed was theirs, lingered in my mind. I smiled quietly, a plan forming. Patience and preparation were my allies. Impulse and anger were theirs. I would climb higher. They would stumble. And in the end, they would see exactly what they had lost. The gala was buzzing, chandeliers sparkling above polished floors. I kept my composure, greeting colleagues with a calm smile while silently noting every detail. Alina arrived in her signature elegance, but there was a tension to her movements, forced, rigid. You look ambitious tonight, she said, sidling up, attempting that sweet tone that had once disarmed me. Thank you, I replied smoothly. I'm just focused on the company's goals, as always. Her eyes flickered briefly, annoyance surfacing. Focused, yes, but don't forget to enjoy yourself. I tilted my head, letting the silence stretch. I enjoy progress, I said softly, letting the words land. Rayan hovered nearby, nervously straightening his tie. I caught his glance, flinching ever so slightly, a crack in his usual confidence. Leah appeared at my side. See that? She whispered. They're unraveling. Just watch. I nodded, savoring the subtle shift. Alina, attempting to dominate conversations, stumbled over names, misquoted statistics, and accidentally interrupted a high-profile client story. I could feel the satisfaction rising quietly. You're really on top of your game, aren't you? Alina forced a laugh after a minor slip. Trying my best, I replied, careful not to gloat. Inside, I smiled. Patience and observation were working. Karma didn't need my hands. Later, I overheard Rayan speaking to a junior colleague. I think we need to rework the Johnson proposal. I missed a few key numbers. You missed? Again, the colleague asked, eyebrows raised. Yes. I miscalculated, he admitted, swallowing. I leaned back, discreetly watching, every tiny stumble reinforcing the truth I'd known, ambition without precision falters. Alina approached me again, attempting to belittle my achievements. I heard you closed the Harrison deal. Impressive, for someone so new at this level. Thank you, I said, calm as a river. I focused on understanding the client's needs. Results speak for themselves. She faltered, eyes narrowing, realizing her attempt to humiliate me hadn't landed. I could almost hear the internal panic she tried to mask. Leah whispered, see? It's beautiful. She tries to attack, and it reflects back on her. I nodded quietly. It's poetic, I said softly. They don't realize the ground beneath them is shaky. The evening grew more intense. Alina, desperate to reclaim control, interrupted my conversation with investors. Excuse me, may I interject? I think you're overlooking some crucial points here. Of course, I said with a smile. Please, share your insights. Her suggestions were half-baked, rushed, and outdated. The investors exchanged glances, polite but unimpressed. I kept my expression neutral, letting her flounder. Every correction, every clarification I added subtly, highlighted competence she couldn't match. Rayan appeared beside her, whispering, stay calm. Just, follow my lead. He stammered, misremembering figures, and the client's raised eyebrows. I let the silence stretch. I didn't interfere. Let them crumble under their own mistakes. Alina's lips pressed into a thin line, and I caught a fleeting flicker of desperation in her eyes. I think we should. You think? I asked softly, echoing her words. Results are usually better than assumptions. She paused, flustered, realizing her attempt to dominate had failed publicly. The room's attention subtly shifted to me. I didn't celebrate. I just observed, letting their errors speak louder than any words I could offer. Afterward, Leah appeared beside me. That was satisfying. I smiled faintly. Not my doing. Just letting reality unfold. Exactly, she said. You didn't interfere. You just watched. And they revealed themselves. I nodded, savoring the clarity. The subtle power of patience, observation, and strategic restraint was far more satisfying than revenge. Later, alone in the office, I replayed the gala in my mind. Every slip Alina made, every nervous glance from Rayan, reinforced the truth I was building. They were unraveling under their own arrogance and mismanagement. I didn't need to act directly, karma was my ally. And yet, I couldn't deny a thrill ran through me. The knowledge that their humiliation was a mirror of their own choices, their own mistakes, it was intoxicating. Not bitter, not vengeful, but precise, calculated satisfaction. Leah's voice echoed in my memory, patience is power. Observation is control. I repeated it silently, feeling the weight of truth in those words. I realized then that this was more than just justice. It was empowerment. Every day I focused on my work, every careful action I took, reinforced my position, my influence, my independence. I was climbing higher, and they were falling, not because I pushed them, but because they were incapable of sustaining the facade they had built. I leaned back in my chair, a quiet smile forming. I didn't need applause, or recognition, or confrontation. All I needed was the satisfaction of knowing the truth, and letting it reveal itself to the world. Karma had begun. The boardroom smelled of polished wood and ambition. I walked in confidently, briefcase in hand, ready to present my plan for taking over the new division. "Morning, everyone," I began, my voice steady. "I've reviewed all operations, and I'm confident these strategies will improve efficiency, increase revenue, and enhance client satisfaction." A few colleagues exchanged glances, some nodding, impressed. Rayan was there too, seated uncomfortably at the far end of the table. His usual smirk was gone, replaced by something tight, forced. "You're taking over the Johnson division?" one senior executive asked. "Yes," I replied calmly. "I believe my approach aligns with the company's long-term vision, and I've prepared detailed projections to support it." Rayan muttered something under his breath. I didn't hear it, but Leah caught it and whispered, "He's already regretting his mistakes." I smiled faintly, letting her words linger. Patience. Calmness. That was the edge I had now. Alina arrived later, attempting to charm the team. "I'm sure you'll all consider my insights," she said, voice honeyed but eyes wary. "Of course," I said smoothly. "I always value your perspective, Alina." Her lips pressed into a thin line. I could see her trying to maintain control, but subtle cracks revealed themselves in her posture and tone. She was flustered, watching as my influence quietly but unmistakably grew. Later, in a private meeting, Rayan tried to confront me. "You're taking over everything I worked on. How did you?" "I focused on results," I said calmly. "And on building trust with the team. You know, the way you should have." He flushed. That's not fair. I've been here longer, Experience counts, Rayan," I said, leaning slightly forward. "But execution counts more. Leadership isn't about time served, it's about impact." He opened his mouth to reply, then shut it again, realizing there was no argument that would hold water. Alina stopped by later, attempting her usual charm offensive. "You've grown, impressive. But don't forget, people notice overconfidence." I let a slow, calm smile form. "Confidence comes from competence, Alina. And competence can't be faked." Her eyes flickered, the mask slipping for a second. I didn't gloat, I didn't need to. The shift in power was visible to everyone. My calm composure contrasted sharply with her growing frustration. Leah appeared quietly at my side. "Look at them," she whispered. "Their attempts to intimidate you are failing. You've earned every inch of this." "I know," I murmured. "It's satisfying, but not about vengeance. This is about reclaiming what they tried to take from me." Later, I addressed the division officially. "I intend to maintain open communication, reward hard work, and ensure transparency at every level. Together, we'll achieve more than ever before." Applause followed. I glanced at Rayan. He looked smaller somehow, shrinking in the weight of his own incompetence and envy. Alina's forced smile didn't reach her eyes. I felt no triumph in her discomfort, only clarity. People's flaws are often their undoing. In the following days, my influence solidified. Colleagues who had once doubted me sought my guidance. Investors asked for my input on other divisions. I remained composed, letting my actions speak louder than any words of retaliation could. Rayan came by, voice hesitant. I think I need your help with a client presentation. I studied him silently. He didn't realize that every failure he made only cemented my credibility. I'll guide you, I said finally, but follow instructions carefully. Attention to detail matters more than shortcuts or charm. He nodded quickly, almost afraid to breathe. I let him leave with a sense of responsibility weighing on him, exactly where it belonged. Alina, meanwhile, tried to rally her team, but her influence had waned. Suggestions that once commanded attention now met polite nods or gentle corrections. She realized she had misjudged my growth and underestimated the patience I'd cultivated. One evening, Leah and I stayed late reviewing new projections. "You've changed," she said softly. "From the man who was shattered to someone unshakable." I had to, I admitted. Not for revenge alone, but for myself. Every setback, every betrayal, taught me the value of restraint, strategy, and focus. She smiled. "And now you're respected, not feared, at least, not by the wrong people." I nodded quietly, staring out the window at the city lights. My heart still carried memories of betrayal, but the weight had shifted. It wasn't bitterness driving me anymore, it was empowerment. Ryan's envy, Alina's manipulations, their missteps, they no longer controlled me. My growth wasn't just professional. It was personal. I had reclaimed my dignity, my confidence, my self-worth. And in that calm, collected state, I knew this: true power doesn't come from tearing others down. It comes from building yourself up and letting the world see the difference. I had climbed higher. Alina appeared at my office door unexpectedly. I wasn't surprised, but I didn't expect her to muster courage. We need to talk," she said, voice tight. I gestured to the chair opposite me. "Sit. Let's hear it." She hesitated, then lowered herself into the seat. I made a mistake. Leaving you, it wasn't what I truly wanted." I kept my expression calm, neutral. "You made a choice, Alina. One that affected more than just me. Do you understand that?" Her lips pressed together. "I know. I regret it. I hoped you'd." "Hope I'd what?" I interrupted softly. "Forgive you. Sympathize. Tell you it's okay." She flinched but nodded slightly. "I thought, maybe we could start over. I see now that You see now that you've burned bridges," I said evenly. "That you lost credibility, respect, and influence because of choices you made for selfish reasons. I don't need to remind you of Ryan's mistakes, do I?" She looked down, silent. "I don't feel anger toward you anymore," I continued. "Not the sharp, burning rage I once carried. That ended when I realized my growth mattered more than revenge." Her eyes met mine, searching. "So, you're fine." "I'm beyond fine," I said. "I'm stronger, focused, respected. Your betrayal didn't break me, it taught me to be better. To trust myself. To lead without losing myself." She shifted in her seat, voice quieter. I didn't think of that. I thought." "Of course you did," I interrupted, gentle but firm. "Self-interest is hard to admit, even harder to correct. But that's your lesson, not mine." She swallowed, and I could see the weight of realization pressing down on her. I guess I never understood the consequences." "Not fully. Now you do," I said simply. "And now, you have to live with them." A pause settled between us. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Her discomfort, her awareness of loss, was enough. Satisfaction doesn't always scream, sometimes it whispers quietly in the calm certainty of one's own growth. I wanted to apologize, she murmured. Truly. I hear you, I said. And I accept your apology. But I don't owe you anything else. You wanted a life different from the one you had with me and Rayan. You got it. Learn from it. That's all. Her shoulders slumped. I suppose I understand. Good, I said. Because I've moved forward. You'll see that life hasn't stopped for either of us, but it moves differently depending on how we handle our choices. She nodded slowly, as if absorbing the weight of my words. I didn't expect you to be this composed. I learned, I said. Heartbreak teaches more than rage ever could. And I chose growth, not destruction. She stood, hesitating. Thank you. Truly. I hope you're happy. I am, I replied, calm, confident. And I hope you find clarity, too. But my happiness doesn't depend on your redemption. She left quietly, and I sat back in my chair, exhaling. The air felt lighter, cleaner. Closure doesn't always need confrontation or vengeance, it comes from knowing you've evolved beyond the pain. Later that evening, I heard through the grapevine that Rayan faced his own collapse. Projects he mishandled were under scrutiny, and colleagues whispered about missed deadlines and poor decisions. Karma, subtle and inevitable, was at work. I didn't smile. I didn't need to. Satisfaction isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's the quiet acknowledgement that the universe has a way of balancing choices. I had chosen my own path, and that alone mattered. Leah called later. I heard about Rayan and Alina. Are you pleased? Pleased isn't the right word, I said. Content, maybe. Calm. I've seen what their actions caused, and I've seen what mine led to. There's no bitterness. Just perspective. You've really changed, she said softly. From the man shattered by betrayal to someone unshakable. I have, I admitted. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I chose growth. My focus wasn't them, it was me. That's what makes all the difference. I looked out the window at the city lights, feeling the quiet strength of my own life moving forward. The past had tried to chain me, but I had freed myself. And now, I didn't need anyone else to validate my worth. I had reclaimed it myself. Leah and I stayed late in the office, reviewing quarterly reports. The hum of computers and the soft glow of screens created a quiet, private space. You've done incredible work here, she said, eyes scanning the data. I don't know how you balance everything without losing yourself. I learned the hard way, I replied softly, leaning back in my chair. Heartbreak can either destroy you or teach you to focus. I chose the latter. She looked at me, thoughtful. It's not just focus. You've grown emotionally too. You handle situations differently, calmly, strategically. I had to, I admitted. Rayan and Alina taught me lessons I never wanted to learn. But it made me realize something. Self-respect matters more than anyone else's approval. Leah smiled faintly. I'm glad you see that. And I'm here to support you, not because of what you went through, but because of who you are now. Her words touched me more than I expected. You've always been there, haven't you? I asked quietly. I have, she said simply. And I'll continue to be, if you let me. I studied her for a moment, noticing the sincerity in her eyes. I do. I trust you. But let's keep this professional for now, I added, smiling slightly. I'm not ready to mix business with anything else yet. Fair, she replied, returning my smile. We'll take our time. Later, as we went through projections for a new client pitch, I noticed how our conversations flowed, professional, yet intimate. I could speak freely with her, share doubts, strategies, and ambitions. It was refreshing. You know, Leah said, tapping the screen, your leadership style has changed everything here. People respect you because you earned it, not because you demanded it. That's important to me, I said. I don't want fear or resentment to motivate my team. I want inspiration and trust. It took losing a lot to realize that. Rayan and Alina, she asked cautiously. I exhaled slowly. Yes. They were obstacles, but also lessons. I've learned to let karma handle them while I focus on what matters, my growth, my integrity, and my goals. Leah nodded. And you're flourishing. The company is responding to your leadership. Investors are impressed. Employees are motivated. You've truly turned the page. I have, I said quietly, glancing at her. And it's not just professional. I've learned who I am, what I deserve, and how to protect it without letting anger dictate my actions. She smiled warmly. I'm proud of you. Truly. Thanks, I murmured. The words felt heavy with meaning, acknowledgement of struggle, triumph, and transformation. Later, we walked through the office floor, reviewing teams and progress. I noticed how I approached challenges now, calmly, strategically, with patience. Mistakes were opportunities to correct, not punish. Decisions were guided by clarity, not emotion. You've grown so much, Leah said again, lightly touching my arm. It's inspiring. Not just me, I replied, glancing at the employees working diligently. This is about everyone I lead, too. Growth is contagious when it's grounded in purpose. She chuckled softly. Purpose suits you. I leaned against the railing, watching the city lights outside the window. I never thought I'd feel this, balanced. Content. Not because I achieved revenge, but because I earned my life back. Leah stood beside me, quiet for a moment. Do you think you're ready for happiness? I smiled faintly, considering her words. I think happiness isn't about the absence of pain. It's about self-respect, resilience, and knowing your worth. Revenge never offered that. Growth does. She nodded. I like that perspective. And I hope you let yourself experience it fully, without hesitation. I will, I said, feeling a rare, steady calm. I've learned to trust myself. And I've learned to value people like you, supportive, honest, and patient. She looked at me with a soft warmth in her eyes. I'll continue to be here, no matter what path you choose. And I'll continue to grow, I replied, quiet determination in my voice. Not because I need validation, but because I've finally realized my potential. For myself first, and then for those who matter. The company thrived under my leadership, each success reinforcing my confidence and clarity. I had moved beyond heartbreak, beyond betrayal, and beyond envy. Life was no longer about proving anything to others, it was about fulfilling my own potential. Leah and I returned to our desks, reviewing the final projections. I felt gratitude, satisfaction, and quiet joy, a sense of redemption not born from revenge, but from self-mastery and growth. And for the first time in a long time, I truly believed that real happiness was possible, without compromising who I had become. The celebration hall was packed, glittering with lights and murmurs of congratulations. I walked in, shoulders back, calm, composed. Congratulations, Leah said quietly, leaning in as we moved toward the stage. You've earned every bit of this. Thanks, I murmured. It feels different this time. Not just recognition, but peace. The CEO stepped forward, microphone in hand. Tonight, we honor someone who has transformed not only a division but the company itself. Please welcome him. Applause erupted. I walked to the stage, maintaining my calm smile, letting the acknowledgement sink in. Every whisper, every glance, every nod of respect reminded me how far I'd come. After the speech, Alina appeared across the room. She looked polished, charming, but her eyes betrayed unease. Rayan was nearby, fidgeting, trying to look confident but failing. I caught their gaze and gave a small nod, neutral, composed. No words were necessary. They knew. Leah joined me again. They can't affect you now. Not even a little, she said softly. I know, I replied. And it's freeing. I don't need to prove anything to them. Later, at the reception table, Rayan attempted conversation. I wanted to say congratulations. You really turned things around. I smiled faintly. Thank you, Rayan. It took patience and focus. I learned a lot from past experiences. He shifted, uncomfortable. Yeah. I guess I underestimated you. I suppose, I said calmly. We all misjudge people at some point. It's human. Alina came closer, a careful smile plastered on her face. I see how much you've grown. Impressive. Thank you, Alina, I said evenly. Growth is a journey. Some lessons are harder than others, but they shape us into who we're meant to be. Her eyes flickered, and I knew she felt the weight of her own choices. I felt no triumph in her discomfort. This wasn't about punishment, it was about perspective, reflection, and reclaiming what I had lost. Leah whispered, look at you. Calm, respected, unshakable. You've truly earned this. I have, I admitted quietly. But more than that. I've earned peace with myself. That's worth more than any applause. A colleague raised a glass nearby. To leadership, resilience, and hard-earned success. To growth, I added, lifting my glass, catching Leah's eyes. She smiled warmly, a reminder that support, loyalty, and understanding were just as crucial as victory. Later, I found a quiet corner, reflecting. The past, heartbreak, betrayal, doubt, had been heavy. But it had also been transformative. Without those trials, I wouldn't be here, steady, confident, or resilient. Leah joined me, leaning against the railing. You've really changed, she said softly. The man I met when things were falling apart, he's gone. And this one is stronger, wiser. I nodded slowly. I've grown. Not just in career or influence, but in self-respect. I've learned that the ultimate victory isn't over others, it's over your own doubts, your own pain. She smiled. And you've won that, completely. I have, I said, watching the city lights outside the window. Every setback taught me patience. Every betrayal taught me clarity. Every mistake, whether mine or theirs, taught me perspective. Leah stayed silent, letting me speak. I realized revenge isn't necessary when you focus on yourself. Karma, life, consequences, they have a way of balancing things without interference. She nodded. It's a lesson most people never truly learn. I know, I murmured. And I'm grateful. Grateful for the hardships, for the mistakes, for everything that seemed unbearable at the time. They built the person I am today. We stood together, quiet for a moment, the noise of the celebration fading into the background. My heart was lighter than it had been in years, free of resentment, free of pain, free of dependency on the opinions of others. Are you happy? Leah asked softly, sensing the shift. I smiled faintly, a calm certainty in my voice. I am. Not because others acknowledge me, but because I know my worth. I've reclaimed my life, my dignity, and my focus. That's happiness. Leah placed her hand lightly on my arm. Then I'm happy for you, too. I looked around the room, colleagues celebrating, investors praising, friends supporting. Even Alina and Rayan lingered on the edges, powerless to affect my life. And I realized that true victory isn't the noise of applause or recognition, it's the quiet knowledge that you've overcome, transformed, and reclaimed control over yourself. Raising my glass one last time, I whispered to no one in particular, here's to resilience, to lessons learned, and to the freedom that comes from self-mastery. Leah smiled, lifting her glass in return. Together, we drank, not in triumph over others, but in acknowledgement of growth, strength, and the unshakable confidence that comes from surviving life's hardest trials. I knew then, firmly, that the future was mine. I was free, empowered, and ready to face whatever came next. And for the first time in years, I felt completely at peace.